I was wondering what your thoughts were when you were watching the Eagles Washington game, and what your thoughts were when you heard and saw what your coach said about that last night.
When I was watching the game, I thought it was a close game. The Eagles defense was playing really well. I feel like the Eagles offense, they weren't really getting it going. I guess they assumed they wanted to. And of course, they made that late quarterback change in the fourth quarter. But watching the whole game, I wasn't really questioning the coach's decisions and stuff. I was just more so, I was impressed with how well the Eagles defense and stuff was playing, because the game was real close. They weren't playing for anything. And I've been in that situation before, so I know how things can be as a player. So I was just, glad they was playing hard. And as far as what my coach said, he's entitled to his own opinion. That's how he felt. That's what he wanted to say. So, I'm going to stand behind him.
Hi, Leonard.
James, there was one of these games, I think the Cardinals game, you were mic'd up, and there was one point where Joe Judge came over to you on the sideline and was telling you that basically like a receiver's posture gives away a play call. Is that a normal thing that a head coach would do? Like, that almost strikes me like a lot of detail for a head coach to be getting into on the sideline while also managing the game. Or am I wrong? Is that normal?
I think it's whatever you see. If you see certain tendencies throughout the game, because he has a different view because he's on the sideline, so he's watching us while we're on the field. And most time I'm looking at the receiver, but I'm also looking at the backfield. I'm looking at the formation. So there's a lot that I have to process. So, I'm willing to listen to anybody that can give me tips throughout the game. I think on the video as well, our nutritionist, he gave me a tip about how DeAndre Hopkins, he was hitting the inside of his shoulder if it was an inside breaking route. And I took that tip, and it showed here and there throughout the game. So I'm willing to take tips from anybody.
Gotcha. And just want to ask you too. I think by all accounts you had a great first year in New York. What do you think you did so well, and what things do you think you still need to improve?
I think I made sure I stayed on my game and studying film throughout the season. Being able to recognize certain routes and stuff. And when opportunity came, I know I made the most of my opportunities, like the pick against the Eagles. Some people might say Carson Wentz gave me a free one, but I had to go up there and make the play in order for me to get the interception and make a game-changing play. So just making the most out of your opportunities. And I had two drops the last game of the season, last game against the Cowboys. So just continuing to work on my ball skills and try to create turnovers.
Thanks.
Zach.
Hey, James. Now that Logan signed his contract extension, at least in theory, everybody in the secondary is going to be back next year. It's all rookies, you under contract, guys like Julian Love. Like, what do you think about this group and how everybody complements each other? And then how exciting is it just knowing that you're kind of going to be able to grow together going forward?
That's a good thing, having a group that's coming back. I know when I was in Carolina that the starting lineup was always changing every year. So chemistry is it's a real thing. It's a big thing in a secondary group, especially when you play a complicated scheme how we play. Everybody has to be on the same page. So I'm excited going into next year.
Schwartz.
Yeah, James, you just mentioned about, your scheme is complicated and things like that. It was obviously a very funky offseason, with COVID and everything. You guys didn't get all that time on the field. So looking back at this season, were there times where you looked at it and said, you know what, we got it, but we didn't really get it? And looking ahead in the second year with Pat Graham, do you expect you guys can do a lot more because you'll be that much more well-versed on what's going on?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, we didn't have OTAs. We had a training camp, but we said the same amount of time, so we kind of had to force all the information into a certain amount of weeks or so. So, of course, we started out slow, and like you saw with the defense, we picked it up toward the end. I just felt like we was growing together, and of course, hopefully that continues to go into next year. That's why I'm so excited that we have our guys coming back on the back end.
Is there a lot more potential for what Patrick Graham can do with this defense with a group that knows what he's doing, from day one?
Yeah, I think, of course, Coach Graham, I think he's going to do what he does. He did a great job this year for us. But I think it's more so on the players growing. He always tells this league is about players. And if we can't really handle the system on the field, then the system's not going to work. So like you said, we got players coming back that we had this year. So I'm feeling pretty strong about the season for next year.
Dougie?
Hey, James, just to maybe take the Patrick Graham conversation in another direction. I mean, he's going to be up for some head coaching jobs. What do you think about him as a potential head coach somewhere?
I think he'll do a good job. Coach Graham is a very, very smart guy. I know he went to Ivy League school too. So him and his football knowledge, his football IQ, is above a lot of guys that I've been around. So, I wish the best for him if that happens. And I think he'd be a good candidate.
And then what was this season like for you? Because you were kind of maybe under the radar in Carolina. You come here, sign a big contract, big market, and obviously played well. Just what was this experience like for you?
Yeah, it was different. Like I said, I think I played well in Carolina. Coming to New York, I would say, salute to the fans. They helped me get into the Pro Bowl. I know I missed the game, and then they said that my votes rose above, I think, Carlton Davis. I think he was leading. So salute to the fans, salute to the market I play in. I'm very grateful. So it's been exciting being here, just having full support of everyone around the facility, fans, media, everyone.
All right.
James, sometimes we hear about quarterbacks and receivers getting together in the offseason workouts. In your situation with a secondary where you kind of know that the guys are coming back, will you do that? Will you have those kind of workouts?
Well, we gotta see where COVID is in the spring, and of course closer to training camp. But it's been some talks of that. So hopefully we can do it. Given the circumstances might change in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Pat Leonard?
James, I know you addressed this already a couple of weeks ago, but when the season ends like this and you guys were so close, but one win away, and one of your losses down the stretch was in no small part due to your absence. Does any part of you feel like you let the team down in not being available for a team down the stretch like that?
Well, I try to look at everything with a positive outlook, a positive perspective. Of course, I was disappointed not being there for my team. I'm a starter on the team. They need me. We work well together. But it was just part of the situation, with COVID. I think things like that happen across the league, man. People were catching COVID. People were getting close contact with COVID. So it was just part of the circumstances for this year. I mean, I can't really blame myself for it. Of course, I probably could have handled the situation better, but I don't really know. Did
you talk about McKinney? Yeah, I don't think you did. What do you think of Xavier as a young developing player? Do you think it's big for him to get that pick, going into the off season? And how do you think he played in his, in a lot of snaps he got at the end of the year at a lot of different positions?
So our first thought about it, I think he's very smart. Like you said, he had a lot of positions he had to play, so he had to learn a lot within a small, short time. So I think he's a very smart player. Of course, he has athletic ability. You see that on the tape. It's just about growing in the system. More time that you have and more snaps that you have within the system, the more your confidence is going to grow, the more your knowledge is going to grow. So just got to be patient with him, just give him more time. And, of course, I was happy when he got the pick because he had missed most of the year, with an injury. And, my locker was, close to his, so I would talk to him often. So I could sense his frustration not being on the field with us. So when he was able to make that game-changing play and then pretty much ended the season with a victory, which was a big win against the Cowboys, I was happy for him. So I know he was happy.